All right. Good evening, gamers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Games with Dave. Tonight, I have the pleasure of once again being joined by my pal Luau Lou from Dandyline Games.
Super happy
Lou
to be
is
back, man.
currently running a Kickstarter for the Series 2 of his totally amazing cover stories that look a lot like these here. I can't seem to separate all three of them. There we go. Yeah, which really they are a GM size adventure that gives you everything you need for game night of either DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Mutant Crawl Classics, or my personal favorite in this one, Weird Frontiers. So back this project. There's a link in the description, as you can see on the little ticker going there. So click down there. There's 2 days left to back this. And let's help him hit some stretch goals and get some more amazing stuff. And welcome back, Lou. I'm so excited to have you on.
It's seeing your list of guests that you've been getting, man. I was like, man, I don't know if he's ever going to want me back, man. He's
always
big. He's got some real talent in the house now.
Oh, stop that. There is always a home for you here. So
thank you, man.
Don't ever think that, well, I'm not big by any means, for one, but yeah, even if I blew up and I'm like a Hollywood interviewer, there's always going to be room for you. So fear not. So, man, I am so excited to see that Series 2 is coming out. And I've got to tell you, I was like super excited to see Weird Frontiers on here. I knew you had planned on doing one as a stretch goal on Series 1. But yeah, so what made you add the Fingers of Danger at the Witch's Cauldron?
So yeah, I mean, if anyone out there is a fan of DCC MCC and they haven't yet played Weird Frontiers, you got to try it because it is so awesome. I mean, I'm kind of a big traditional Western fan, like Louis L'Amour. Those books got me through high school and junior high. Of course, with Weird Frontiers, you've got the Western and then you've got the weird, right? So it takes that and it takes Lovecraft and it jams them together in a nice little sandwich. And I love Lovecraft, so David Beatty's just a genius in what he did with that. And the thing about it that's interesting is how it portrays things. Like it doesn't. Some Weird West games, it's like, just all over the place. Everything's weird all the time, and you get kind of like, here's our posse, and we're fighting werewolves this time, and we're fighting vampires next time, but this is more, in my opinion, in the games I've played and the modules that I own, it hits more of the Lovecraft feel where everything seems very real and down to earth, but then there's that turn at the end that it gets, the elder gods are involved and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. And the characters are so fun. DCC characters are kind of like, driving go-karts, they're real simple, boop, bop, boop, bop. David Beatty's characters, they're complex. It's like you're flying an airplane, right? I mean, they all have got all these little intricate parts that you can do different things with. So I just highly recommend if you're out there listening and you've never played Weird Frontiers, next con that you're at, I'm sure there's something going on. Somebody's running something. Get involved with it. See what you think. Because if I tell you, hey, just go buy it, you're going to go and you're going to see the sticker price on it because it's big. Mine's around the corner. I'd grab it and show you. But you'd be like, oh,
I think I can reach mine.
Go for it. You got the 1 volume or 2 volume?
1.
Oh, you got the OG. Yeah, that's what I've got too. I mean, this is a massive tome, and so it's got a price on it too. I mean, look at that, folks. I mean, that's your Holy Bible is maybe a little smaller.
I think it's 900 pages.
That's the collector's cover too. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I got one of the last ones, I think, because I saw that and I was just like, I'm grabbing that. There's no way I was letting that go to someone else.
But yeah, once you've played, you'll understand, and that price will be nothing. You'll be like, yeah, I'll gladly hand over those clams for that, because it's got so much in it too. I mean, what is it? 16 different character classes.
Yeah.
It's got huge, like I think I can't even remember. I want to say it's like 120 pages of spell-like stuff, because a lot of the classes have spell-like effects that they can do. All the monsters, two different adventures, both of which are really, really good. So yeah, so I was really excited about that. And, I asked David, hey, do you care during the last campaign? He's like, oh, I don't care. Well, make something for it. That's awesome. And, that didn't work on the stretch goal, but this time around, I had to get my hands in that sandbox,
Nice. So the one you had planned for series 1 was Opium Panda.
Opium Panda, yeah.
Do you think that will ever see the light of day?
It's missed its mark, I mean, if I wrote it now, tangentially people be like, oh, Cocaine Bear, but it's, if it had happened at that time, it would have been, the right moment for it. But
I think you got to do it, man. I think you got to do it.
Maybe if they make a sequel, if they have like Cocaine Bear 2, then I'll hit with Opium Panda. But
the reawakening. Yeah, so really, I wanted to jump right into that, but how the heck have you been? How was Gen Con?
Gen Con was awesome. And people that have followed my podcast or talked to me in person have probably often heard me say in the last decade, I'm not a big fan of Gen Con. But this last one, even though it was bigger than ever before as far as attendance, it was just, there were folks that I got to meet. There were folks I got to hang out with, that it was just really nice. And if you're part of the Goodman game, cult, they've got that floor down in Lucas Oil, and it's like a whole nother world there. It's like that whole sea of people, that whole big, I don't know what you want to call it, rigmarole with the glitz and the glamour and all the marketing in your face that's over in the regular convention center. That's all gone, and you're just there playing, and everyone's hanging out, having a good time. It reminds me of how Gen Con used to be.
Nice. And seeing the pictures of those crowds is just like terrifying.
Yeah.
Of seeing people lined up in the hallways waiting to go in each morning, because it's like it's like a massive sardine can.
It is. And the way it works, if you've never been, is that like you've got the convention center, which is really big. I mean, I can't remember how many blocks, but it's like, I think like 4 blocks wide and 6 blocks deep or something like that. But then you also have every hotel basically within walking distance is all part of the convention. So all the ballrooms of all the hotels, and there's, I want to say 6 of them that are involved. All of those are also convention space. And then Lucas Oil Stadium, its entire floor is opened up as convention space. So it's really big, and it's a campus, not just one space. So if you've got games in different areas, it can be tricky to get from one to the other in time. Sometimes, it's really nice if you have a game in like the Omni or the, some of the further away hotels, because it's a lot more peaceful there, and it's not as, you're not yelling to try to, communicate with your players as much. But it's pretty wild. Everyone should go once.
You need a megaphone, from what I could hear in like on all the broadcasts coming out of there, and it's like, man, it's just madness. And what's up, Vienna Beef? Vienna Beef says, 2 of my favorite people. What's up, fellas?
Woo-hoo. How you doing, buddy? Gotta figure out. I probably got to log in to be able to see the chat, don't I?
Oh, I'll pop them right up. Oh, we just lost Lou. He will be back shortly. I am going to send him another link just to be safe. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, so just that I clicked on login, it took me completely out of the system.
I'm like, where did he go? I was getting ready to send you another link, but I'll pop him up on the screen. Could you see that when I did that?
Let's see.
Pow, I'll pop it back up.
There it is. Yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, I just wasn't looking.
So I'll pop him up on the screen, and that way you can see him. It's pretty cool, this new app I'm using. Oh, what's up, Garrett? I was about to actually ask who you were.
Garrett, buddy, how are you, man? You're one of those people I got to meet. That's like my new favorite people. How you doing,
Garrett's
buddy?
awesome. He plays in our Crime Fighting Luchador stream with us, and he is so fun to play with. I think I drive him crazy. I'm playing a character that wears the mask of the Goat Man that Eric Bloat designed, and every so often I'll be like, "How's it going, guys?" and do, like, the goat sound,
So
and I think at times all of them wanna strangle me because 'cause I'll do it, like, sometimes, like, every other word.
do you remember the character that mask is based on from Saturday Night Live?
Yes, Jim Brewer's
Yes.
character. That
Okay.
was
All right. So
Yep, I
I
wish
just
I could
wondered
get
how
the
many
full
people made that
getup with the
connection.
horns and everything
Mhm.
to wear for the game. That would be great.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we were talking about Gen Con, the madness of Gen Con, and yeah, I don't think I could handle it.
It, I don't know. It's in years past, it's really grated on me. But like I said, this year it was just like being with the right people and finding that space that's a little bit out of the convention. It was great. It was I would have loved to have you there too. Jeremy Schumann, like he just keeps showing up at these conventions I'm at kind of unannounced. I don't even know he's coming, and that was kind of a cool thing. Getting to hang with him, and just finding those little what was the Embassy Suites bar was kind of like the hangout after hours, and there you get to really talk. Talk with people, like they're human beings and not
Yeah.
customers or whatever. Uh, it was just fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope he's going to PAX Unplugged. Are you going, or can't you
I,
make it?
I don't have it in the cards this year. I'm hoping maybe to pick up a winter convention. Looking for dates. I want to kind of do Total Con, but I don't know if that will be in the cards either. But I'm hoping to make it.
You should go. It would be fun because 'cause I'm going to that for sure
You going to
again this
that?
year, so, yep, and I've actually had 2 people offer me a place to stay for Gen Con, you being one of
Yeah.
them, and so I might have to just break down and go and bring some extra anxiety medication.
Yes, do that. Yeah, like I said, do it once, folks. It may really like I said, like I've had in the past, it might grate on your nerves and make you feel like, oh, this is not gaming. This is like what people think gaming is. But otherwise, you might find those little secret places like I found this year and find those friends, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
Daniel's not
just
getting packs either, man.
that's a bummer, Garrett. It's too bad you can't make it. Um Yeah, like I said, I'll just have to bring some extra anxiety meds and have someone put one of those leashes on my wrist like they put on their kids so that I don't get lost.
Golly.
Be like, "Oh, no, this way, Dave."
Oh, geez.
Um, so I guess we can hop back into Cover Story Series 2. We definitely should. I mean,
If you want to,
promote
I mean,
this.
I'm here to just talk, man. I've
Yeah, like,
a
I came up
horrible
with
couple of
some
weeks on.
questions I had and stuff about the actual cover stories, and then other than that, I was figuring we could just shoot the breeze and have a good time because we don't get to talk that often, as busy as we both are, so,
Yeah.
um, so the inspiration for Grisgore Mountain was a board game that I have actually never heard of, but it looks really freaking cool. What can you tell me about both with, Grisgore Mountain and the board game?
Yeah, so the whole Grisgore Mountain thing, I mean, like people our age, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, our childhoods are just like pockmarked with all these like play sets with giant faces, on the surface of the cave or the castle or whatever. And one of the one of the things I wanted to do is like try to capture that aesthetic, like make and it's been done before in role playing games, but I wanted to be like, what would a play set like Grayskull or the oh my goodness, I can't even think of its name, the dungeon from the Dungeons and Dragons line.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my goodness, Snake Mountain, all that stuff. What would that be like in an actual adventure? Could you work out those quirky little, you know, uh, trapdoor things and all that and make it feel fun and cool and like an adventure and make that come to life. And then there was this one memory in my childhood. They used to make probably the most popular one was called Riders. What was it? The Dragon Riders of the Styx. And these were like little plastic knights and monsters and dragons. And it was what us poor kids would get when we couldn't afford like the LGN,
Yeah.
true D&D toys. These would be these little plastic figures. You could get them at Kmart there, checking out or whatever on a little peg. But they did make these bigger play sets. So this one was called Demon Mountain. And it was mostly just this cardboard cutout thing with this big skull face on it. If you go to the Kickstarter and go all the way down to the bottom, I posted a picture of it. But it wasn't really a board game. It was really just, it sort of was. It's kind of like a castles and catapults kind of thing. But it didn't really have rules. It just had like these cardboard chits that you would shoot across to try to knock the eyes of the demon. Had like these fire coming out of it. It's a demon face on a mountain, for those of you that haven't seen the picture yet. But you try to knock these little flames out on that and knock the I think it was a door that was in the mouth open. But it was just kind of, I looked at it and it was like, oh, this is just, it's fun to look at. And can I take that kind of cheesiness and make it into something? So, so it's basically a dungeon adventure, but it's a dungeon of like tricks and traps. It does have a cool couple fights in it, but largely just kind of like trying to figure your way through it and get to the final guy,
Nice. It looks really fun. Like, I'm thinking my inner 12-year-old still. If you set that in front of me, I would set that all up and then sit there, shoot the mouth, the fire. And I'd be like, this is the greatest thing since Stop Thief.
Yay! I like to call that.
Speaking of which, man, I wonder how easy that would be to turn into some fashion of a cover story. I don't know.
Yeah. I was trying to look for like, given that this one goes well, we I get it out and everything, and right now it's at the printer, so I don't see any problem with that. But I was kind of looking into like, what do I do next time? This time next year, is there any properties DCC adjacent that I haven't done yet that I'd like to? And I know Starcrawl's out there, and I'd like to kind of do something with that. I don't know. I wonder if there are any like pulp noir ones. I'm sure there are. There's just so many. I just can't keep my finger on that pulse. That would be fun.
There are a ton of like alternate settings out there for both.
Yeah.
And we just had No Class RPG podcast pop in and say they've been enjoying the Designers Corners updates. It's a nice touch and some good stories.
Nice. So do you know the Long Con guys, Dave?
I don't. I don't think I do. It's
okay, so Eddie and Matt. They we got to get you connected with them because those are some guys you're going to need to have on. So there's some designers from down in Texas, Longview, Texas, and they go to the North Texas conventions. How I ended up meeting them, just awesome guys. So there was a game that was published through Kickstarter. When did that happen? That was like so after
that's great. Raptors are loose.
I had to do something different, man. But you're sidetracking me, Brian. Anyhow, these guys, like about this time last year, there's a Kickstarter for Caverns of the Dead God, and that was Matt's book that he did. He's ran it as an adventure for like, I don't know, 100 years, and then finally he's like, okay, I'm going to publish this. And then about 2 years ago, there was a MCC adventure that Eddie did. Oh my golly gosh, the casino one. Why is my brain not working right now? I keep on saying Casino Royale, but that's the Bond movie. Casino Carnage Casino. Sing a song. I'm grabbing something.
Oh, you don't want me singing a song. I have a horrible singing voice.
Got to find it. Anyhow, Carnage in the Casino, I think, is now my brain's working. This is great internet entertainment, isn't it, folks?
It is. Hey, at least your feet are clean.
I might have gotten swallowed between books. Anyhow, I'm pretty sure Carnage Casino. Confirm that if you would, Eddie. It's probably you that's on the thing there. Carnage at the casino, Carnage in the casino, one or the other. But and I see. Oh yeah,
I said, "At least your feet are clean," and then they chimed in with that, and I was like, "That's perfect."
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you come home, you've walked all day in the shoes and socks. You gotta release a little, right? uh,
yeah, I don't do the work thing anymore, so I'll have to
just rub
well,
that
no,
right.
it's not out of choice. I'll tell you about it after we get off of here, and yeah, it's a fun little story.
But yeah,
And
so
boom, there we go. They threw it up there. You know it, Carnage
Carnage
in
in
the
the casino.
Casino.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, it's an awesome little module for MCC where there's basically the remains of an ancient casino with all sorts of like AI things in it and a giant robot that acts as like a bouncer, and of course you can do some gambling at your own risk. A great little scene with the irradiated Jello people at the end. Um, but yeah, you got to have those guys on. One, you can talk. They can talk about their con to people because it's another one of these cons that's like it's like North Texas. Like it's a destination place for people that are seriously into role playing and really go to cons to make friends and to do true gaming and not just be part of the glitz. And then both of them have new projects coming out. Meet Your Maker is Eddie's project for the Weird Frontiers.
Nice.
He's mentioned one of my games that he has next to him. Oh, thank you. I've got yours. I swear it's on that shelf. I just
I've gotta
he's
get it by
so
the
thick
sounds
with
of it.
books. It's like sleeve. Where is it here? But anywho, so yeah, I'll have to hook you up with those guys.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, they seem like fun if they're commenting on feet, and they made a game called Carnage in the Casino.
Yeah. Eddie's a little bit
Sounds
of a wise ass. He's getting me in trouble with Bill on my podcast. He keeps on his podcast saying that he's going to be replacing Bill on mine because Bill's always hit and miss for his schedule because he bounces between Michigan and Florida. But he's funny. He's a good guy.
that's awesome. So we talked a little bit about Grisgore. We talked about the Fingers of Danger, and the third is the I'm gonna screw
Exactly
this one
right.
up. Don't tell me yet. I wanna make sure I don't screw this up. The Awful Mongers, of the Atrophic Hill.
Hey, you got it better
Ah,
than I could have done.
I can't see my notes. Like
I
I
always
told you
want to
before we
say
went live,
awful
my
instead of
eyes are
awful because I'm
getting
the
way
hillbilly, but it
worse.
is awful. Yeah, awful mongers of the Atrophic Hill. Yeah, so
Nice.
I always try to come up with crazy titles. It's probably bad. It's probably not in my favor to do that, but I have fun with it. But yeah, it's
Dude, they're great titles, like, The
floating
Floating
spoilers. Yeah.
Spoils of Tsar Bizarre.
What's fun about doing something like that is you get to see like what part of it really mattered because at the end nobody ever says the whole thing. They refer to it as like one little piece, and you get to see what that is. Will it be called a trophy kill? Will it be called awful mongers? Will it be called so like people always, I think that one's always called spoils when people talk to me about it. Oh, so I got spoils, man. Oh, okay, all right. uh, but yeah, so the trophy kill module is and I'm just telling people what they can already read on Kickstarter. But I used to always try to sell this idea for a module to people that wanted me to write something for them. So like uh, uh, Jim Wampler, he's a couple times asked me about doing stuff for Scientific Barbarian, and I pitched that to him. I'm like, well, I got this idea. Okay, here's the idea. It's a dragon's lair, but it's inside an ancient landfill, and the treasure is just all the junk that's there from the landfill. And can never sell it to anyone. I probably presented it bad. So this time around, I'm like, I'm just going to do this. I've had this idea. I've been excited about it for a long time. And so that's kind of what you've got. You've got these monks that live inside an old landfill that's been kind of, tunneled out. And they live there repairing stuff and building new stuff out of the trash that was left behind. And their territory gets invaded by these mole people. And you don't know this going in. The characters don't. They think they're going there to just try to get this new part for the well system at their oasis that they their village is located at, or the oasis that they passed through if they didn't if they already had a village somewhere else and you're adding this in. So they go there to trade this part only to find that these poor monks have been taken over by these mole people, and then they just sometimes when I've test played it, they've just been like, forget them, let's just find this part and get out of here. Sometimes they try to rescue them. Players be players.
That's too funny. Yeah, we'll skip it and we're gonna get the part and get out of here. Oh man. So what else do you have going on? You're not a guy to really sit around idly very long. So I know once this wraps,
I try to
another
keep
Dare
busy.
Luck project or
So yeah, we're coming up on in October-ish. I want to try to release the 3rd volume for the Unnatural Selections monster book that I do.
Oh, nice.
We got 50 monsters that are already we're on monster 32 as far as the artist and I. The other 18 I've written for him to draw, and then once he gets them drawn up, then I'll finish writing them into the book. So it should be ready to go by then as far as the Kickstarter goes. But it'll be, because the last 2 volumes filled up the binder, and when I took a vote with the survey for that Kickstarter, people kind of said, well, now we prefer a second binder instead of just a bigger one that all the stuff would go in. So that's what we're doing. We're going to launch a new binder with that one. It'll be the same size and format and everything, so you'll be able to put both of them next to each other. And hopefully when volume 4 rolls around, you can add that in as well.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Unnatural Selections. You probably can't see it because of the lack of light, but right at the end of the shelf behind me over here, I've got it sitting up on the top. So
awesome.
I love that. I love all the creatures in that. And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you pump out so many. It's just like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, the real magic is in the artist, Santiago Abora. He does all the art for the interior there of the monsters, I come up with an idea that's maybe okay, but then once he puts it to the pencil, and I get it back, it's like, I'm not trying to speak well of my own product and promote it or whatever. I'm trying to speak well of this artist. He takes any concept I give him, and he makes it so that you turn to that page and you're like, yeah, I want that monster in a story. Because it's just so give you an example. Ground urchins. Okay. It's just this idea that there's these urchins that live on the ground. They roll around, they spear people, okay. That's not, that exciting. But he's got this picture of this dead guy in a gas mask laying in the desert, rotting away, and the urchins in the background. He's got pins sticking out of him. And you look at that, it's just so evocative. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to put that in the story tonight. It just makes every monster, front and center page,
That's great. And then they said Santi is so good. His art is very inspiring. So
yeah, they've been using him too, and he's done some awesome things. In fact, they've got him to do their logo and T-shirts for their cons here the last couple of years. And this one's a Western one. You should check that out. It's just it's got like this kind of like, I don't want to say zombie. It's almost more. It reminds me of Eddie from oh my gosh,
Iron Maiden.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
He's kind of in a cowboy get up, and he's got a gun. I think there's smoke coming out of the gun. There's like a full moon in the back that has long con on it. It looks really badass. It's awesome.
That sounds badass. And Brian had said 2 binders for 3 and 4, and that his binder is very beefy with both in it.
Yeah. It's almost too much for the 2 of them to be in volume 1. You got to kind of gently move the pages when you first get going on it. So yeah, this will allow some breathing room. You'll be able to split them up into the 2 binders, but then when 4 comes out, we'll probably be back in the same boat again. I just don't know what to do. I mean, you can special order bigger binders, but they get kind of ridiculous in feel. I don't know. But
I picture those big old like 1960s binders they had for computers when it was people doing the card punches and everything. Yep. And they had those binders that had the edge that was like this, that basically looked like the Weird Frontiers book.
Yeah.
Like
D-ring kind of, yeah. So yeah, something like that might be good, but then it's kind of gets unwieldy at the table. And the nice thing about these is that, they don't take up that much table space. And you can always take the sheets out of them to just alleviate that necessity anyhow. But I don't know. If you did them in books, you'd have the same issue. You'd have piles of books at your table, and you don't want that either. It's a hard problem to solve.
It is. Because yeah, for one, like there's so many options that it's like, of what you could do. So yeah, I don't know. I just can't wait for 3 and 4 now that you've said that. So I'm ready. One thing I saw you mention earlier was, and Stefan is here.
Seven.
So looks
Hey,
like a
man.
lot of cool guys in this chat. Hope I can count myself included. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's another gentleman I've got to get on this show. I
Yes,
keep
definitely.
meaning to message you. And so we should hook up at some point after this. I know we're friends on Facebook. So I'll have to message you and see about getting you on, because he's got his podcast, his newsletter, and everything that he sends out. And it's just like,
yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute, Stefan. That newsletter is amazing. Like,
it
I
is.
look so forward to getting that, and that is so insightful, especially like the last episode or issue you did where you were talking about like Big Trouble for Little Blood and how that came out for you. That helped me so much, man. And I really appreciate your honesty on that, and kind of, letting us know that, this is what you tried and this is how it came out.
Yeah, I love getting his emails. It's one of those things I'm just like, ooh, new newsletter. All right. And then Stefan and Lou are in competition for the title of nicest guy in gaming.
Yeah, wait till I get there at Long Con and I've had a few in me. You'll find out what a jerk I am. Like, "Nah, we're never having that dude back."
Oh, man. And Jonathan Sullivan says
I'm
he
in.
agrees 100%. I find the newsletter inspiring and helpful. Awesome. So one thing I saw you had mentioned earlier was the games that we were going to talk about that we were looking forward to coming out. I've got to move my 16-point font notes there so I can, because I made a list of all the games I'm looking for. I'll let you start off. What is a game you are looking forward to?
So right now in my life, as far as gaming goes, I'm trying to find stuff that I don't really have a good representation of for that genre. And I've played All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a zombie apocalypse sort of game, modern times, but I never owned it, and it kind of died away. And I've always kind of been like, that's one that could be really fun. You could have a nice, short run campaign, 3 or 4 adventures following the arc of it, just these characters. But then Eric Bloat, he has his new zombie game coming out, and Brian and John have their zombie game coming out. So I don't, I might just have to get them both and see, So those
That's
are
funny
both.
because those are the top 2 games I have on my list
Really?
that I'm looking forward to, is Brain Eaters and Survive This Zombies. And
Yes.
I'm like, I can't wait for either of them. And I'm sorry, I cut you off. I've
No,
been doing
I'm
it all
glad
night.
that because you had the titles at the ready, and for some reason tonight, my memory cache is just gone. I don't know.
Well, I had to restart my computer, so maybe that's what got me feeling refreshed with everything here.
But yeah, so that's something I'm excited about because, again, it's not anything I have anything of on my shelf, and I think it's a really viable campaign option. I think that my home group, Jonathan's one of them. I think we'd all enjoy, being in a campaign based around that. So excited about that one.
Yeah, those containers built by the Army Corps of Engineers, they're safe as can be.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Garrett says that Brain Eaters is going to be sick, which I wholeheartedly agree with. And then Brian said they're finishing up Brain Eaters layout he's finishing up the layout
Nice.
as he watches. Awesome. I cannot wait for that game. And all you've got to do, if I remember from reading everything, you just got to roll a 5 to succeed.
Yeah.
5 alive. That's what it is. That's right. One that I'm particularly looking forward to is Joey's project, the hardbound WHPA.
WHPA, yeah, that'll be fantastic.
Yep. And man, I know we like talked about him to great extent the last time that we talked, but I love that guy. Like, it's him, Brian, and so many of these other guys are just so great. Like, I want to get something published. And they've both been like, well, throw your idea my way and I'll help you with it. And I've got one that I'm still working on that I threw to Brian, and he's like, yeah, we got to work on this and this and change the dice system, which we did. Now I've just got to get off my tuckus and finish it up. So it'll be
Can
good.
you tell us more about it? You like the
I
theme of
can.
it?
It's going to be based around the original Halloween movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know what to give away. I always feel weird because I try not to spoil anything for anybody that I have on. It's going to be D6 based, just because, like, I had all these really weird dice rolls built into it. And Brian was basically like, well, why don't you just make it simple so anyone can just grab the dice out of Monopoly, Parcheesi, or whatever and just play it? And since coming up with that idea, I was down visiting my daughter in Virginia in May, and I spit out 24 pages
Nice.
of what I want to do for it. Now I've just got to take all those notes and distill them into a game, which is where I'm struggling now.
What goes into
So,
what chapter and what needs finished out.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that's an exciting spot to be on a development of a game system. To
it
be
is.
in that spot where
Hopefully
you've
it
got
will
these
work.
ideas and now let's congeal it, Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm just running into major brain cramp issues, I guess you'd say, with trying to break it down and put everything in its proper spot. And it's kind of had to take a back burner with everything else I've had going on. So,
So this buddy of mine, Ed Russell, who's in the gaming group there with Jonathan, who's in chat there. We went. It was Game Hole Con. We were driving up to Game Hole Con, and we were just throwing ideas back and forth. And he had kind of said, like, I really would like to do a game that feels like Friday the 13th, the movie,
nice.
And so it's kind of in a vein, kind of like what you're talking about. And one of the things we could never kind of find a solution for is like in those films, you've got to have body count. You've got to have like a deterioration of the cast to keep the pressure on and the horror of it all kind of boiling up. Did you consider that, and did you find a solution for it?
I did, and I think I did, because
Awesome.
it's going to be dice pool based.
Uh-huh.
And as the body count rises, the dice pool will lower. So
So it
it
gets
adds
harder and
more
harder
tension to it. So if you're like the last girl, then you're going to have to get some good rolls to make it through the night, so because you're the last person standing. And yeah, I may as well spit it out. We came up with what I think is a really cool name. We called it Fueled by Fear for the
Nice.
dice system. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I've got to I can't say get off my backside and do it because I'm busy as all get out. But I've just got to, I guess you'd say, prioritize things a little better so that I can touch everything throughout the course of a week and not neglect anything. Because I haven't really touched the game since June. And I think about it all the time, and I'll jot down little notes and stick them in the folder I have everything in. And
Nice.
yeah, hopefully it works.
Well, it sounds like it's coming to you like it comes to all of us, just pieces at a time, and you find when when it inspires you to go and write on it, you write on it, and can't really tug on the muse's robes, right? You got to let it come to you when it comes to you, and that's
Yep.
awesome. Now, if you don't mind me asking, because you've got the game store online,
Yep.
you've got the show, and you're doing shipping now. Or is
Yep.
that coming up? Is it live?
No,
yet?
it's out. Actually, it's called Mainly Fulfillment, and we're actually going to be doing the fulfillment for Brian on Deities and Demibros and Deadly Dudes and Toxic Creeps, which is another game or two books actually I was going to bring up for Neon Lords that I just can't wait for.
Yeah.
Because how Brian is another one of those guys that it's like, you know, he just put out Riders of the Burp Warp and
And
Warp
all the
Shine
figures.
Runners.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, how do you come up with so much? It's like, I don't get it because I'm like focused on one game and I can't quite come up with the ideas I need. Meanwhile, you've got guys like him and you and Joey and, you know, Stefan and everyone that just come up with these ideas. And it's, I guess maybe it'll come to me the more I get into creating.
Well, I mean,
So,
for me personally, I have the luxury that like I've got my, you know, day job, I've got my family life, and then pretty much my hobby is this. You know, this is what I do for fun and is make games. And I don't have like you've got a lot of different things. Well, I guess I got the podcast, but that's once a month. It's not, you know, a huge commitment. But so I get to be a little more laser focused than the juggling act that, you know, some folks have to do with life and everything else. So
it actually kind of concerns me how much I have going on, to be honest, because I've got another idea brewing that, and then I hear the old saying of the man that chases two rabbits catches none, you know, and I'm like, well, is that what I'm doing? Am I going to just tank everything because I have 5 or 6 different projects going at once that aren't related in any way?
But are they? I mean, that because that
They're
was the opposite of
all
what I
in
was
the
thinking. I'm
gaming
thinking you've
sphere,
got a
but
ring of synergy going here. You've got, you know, RPG fulfillment. You've got, you know, a podcast, you know, focused on RPGs. You've got a game store that, you know, also sells RPGs. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't
it
know that it's
is
too rapid
synergistic, I guess. I've
versus
never really thought about that until
digging
you
up a
just said
burrow.
it.
You
Now
know?
it's all within that sphere of RPGs, but yeah, I don't know. I'm like kinda I'm worried about throwing one of those pins up in my juggling act and just being like, "Oh, where'd it go?" And then having it come down and hit me right in the face, you know, so because I've got another idea going that, oh, heck, I'll talk about it, is getting back into selling 3D prints.
Oh,
So, because
go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry,
go
guy.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to tell you, like, yeah, I was want to congratulate you as an educator, as a teacher. I want to thank you for what you're doing there, like helping out with that school and kind of helping them
That's another one.
yeah, learn how to do the 3D printing and the facets of that. You know, that's awesome, man. We need more people in our
Thanks.
communities like you.
Like, I don't use my for there's 2 types of printing for people that don't know. There's FDM, which, oh, I just lost, what the FDM stands for.
I know it's fiber
But
or
it's
something, right?
filament printing,
Filament.
and then
Filament. I
there's
was thinking,
resin
no, no,
printing. And my filament printers, I don't use for that much anymore. I do have some things that I'm not gonna tell you about because I'm gonna surprise someone that's actually watching this with
no.
some of them. But it's the only thing that I use the filament printers for. Everything else I use the resin printers for. But I've got to come up with ways of ventilating them. Like, I'm sure you noticed my profile picture on Facebook is me wearing the respirator. Um, you know, because I watched this one video that the title was literally "Your resin printers are killing you." And the guy was going down this list of all these carcinogens that were in the resin. So I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. And I pulled up the MSDS safety sheet, and there's one potential carcinogen in there. It is titanium dioxide. And the funny thing is, it's in almost everything we eat now.
Hmm.
So they say you've got to watch your intake of it. So I'm kind of like, well, I'll get the respirator, and they stink like crazy. Like, I have
A
mine in
lot of
our
drywall
basement.
work in the off season, and that's the kind that you have in the pictures, exact kind I wear, and it gets all sweaty and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take it off, and I've got this red ring going around like my face, and the back of my head has the strap impressions
Hatch
on
mark
it.
from the
It's fine. Um, yeah. dude, I've got so much going on. It's crazy. So, but you know, I'm not working and it wasn't really by choice. So I'm like, I'm going to make this stuff work. And my fiance, bless her heart, is amazing. I've talked about getting a job a couple times and she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. She's like, you're going to make this all work. And she's like, that's your job, is making this all work. So, whew, it's a lot of pressure on me, but
I can't remember because we had a similar conversation last time. I can't remember if I brought this up or not, and forgive me if I did. But a while back, I was listening to a biography of Kelsey Grammer, right, the guy from Cheers and all that.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, this is thrilling. I'm sure everybody's going out to get this biography. But one of the things he said in it that's always really been an inspiration to me is he talked about in college how he was dual majored. And I forget what the other major was, but it's something pretty important, something like, business finance or something that you could easily get a well-paying job at. And he talked about at one point, he made the decision to drop all those classes, that he decided that if he was ever going to be an actor, he couldn't give himself an out, that he had to be like, no, it's either I make it this way or I got nothing. And that was the kind of the fuel he needed, the push he needed to keep pursuing acting, to keep, going down those long trails to get the jobs and do what he needed to do. So it's
it's horrifying.
I'm sure it is. I'm glad that I'm not in your shoes, but the best thing that your fiance has ever done for you is to tell you, no, you can't get another job. You've got to make these things work.
Yeah, because I was ready to go out and like pound the pavement looking for a job, and she's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? And she's like, I want to see you make this work. This is what you want to do. And like, she's probably in the other room watching us talk. But like, she's like, oh, you're going to have fun with Lou tonight. You laugh so much when you talk with him. And she's exactly right. Like, I was in kind of a bummy mood the last couple of days because of my kid leaving, and my enjoyment of life-o-meter has just gone over the last 45 minutes. So
this is the pickup I needed. I had a lot of just really bad stuff over the last few weeks. Nothing that's, there's people out there far worse than I am. I'm not trying to, get a sob story going here, but yeah, I'm very happy to be on the air with you right now, man. It's really changed my day.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, and mine too. So, it's like, I was telling you before we went on, I had my daughter up here the last 3 weeks, and I didn't have anything on the schedule because I don't get to see her anywhere near as often as I would like. And it felt so weird not doing anything. Because like the hour she sleeps, she's kind of a night owl like me, but I've got a mechanical keyboard. So she was sleeping in the living room on the futon folded out because she loves it. And I'll start typing and it's just like boom, 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 boom. And she'd be like, Dad, I can't sleep with you typing. So I was like, okay, I'm just abandoning, for lack of a better term, my projects for the next 3 weeks and hanging out with her. And I would not trade anything that I missed out on over the last 3 weeks for the quality time that I got to spend with her. It was so amazing.
Awesome on
and then
you.
She left Monday, and I'm just like, oh. And it's like, have you seen that that meme where I can't think of the actor's name, but it was from the Narcos show, and it's just him sitting alone on a swing, him standing alone in his pool, and then him sitting alone at his kitchen table. And that's what it was like this morning when I got up. Like, I come walking out into the living room, and then I'm like, shit, she's not here. And I'm like, oh man. I sat on the couch, I took a little nap, got up, came up with some stuff for us to talk about tonight, and made the thumbnail and all that. Then I watched some Walking Dead, read some books, and I've got to get back into the swing of things, because another one of my marvelous business ideas I'm taking from my old job. I ran Amazon store, Etsy, Walmart, and was getting into learning Target for a cremation urn company. And things just went south, so I left. And I'm like, I know this business like the back of my hand now from doing this for almost 4 years. So I'm starting up a little memorial business where you can get like engraved glasses, shot glasses and stuff. I don't want to deal with urns because it's just madness.
No, really.
But yeah, I'm starting up a memorial, and I don't know what you'd call it. Some kind of memorial business that I'm slowly trekking away at. So
very cool.
I don't know. I've got so much going on. I've said that 100 times tonight. So, oh man. And the one thing I've got to know, especially because Brian did come to hang out and listen, did you get the measurements for Snake Mountain, Castle Grayskull, and more importantly, the slime pit?
Ooh, the slime pit. It's yeah. So Brian, I don't think will ever forgive me for that, and probably duly so. Yeah. So that was a trivia question we gave him on our show, and I think that if I remember right, the deal was that what was it? I think the question was like, which was the tallest of the He-Man play sets, and the options were like whatever She-Ra's palace is called, Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, and then the Eternity, or not Eternity, what is it?
Eternia.
It's not Eternity. It's what's the planet
Eternia.
called? Eternia. Yes, I tell you, folks, it's not working tonight. I don't know why. Maybe I got to loosen the hat up or something. But the Eternia playset, and
can I take a guess at this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it would be Snake Mountain because of the microphone.
So, Brian's guess was Eternia. And on the show, we said, nope, that's wrong. It is, we said on the show, it was Snake Mountain. And it was by, I mean, I might even be getting this wrong. I think it was Snake Mountain. Maybe it was Castle Grayskull. But no, I think it's Snake Mountain. It was by a significant amount. And then researching it afterwards, it turns out that there was like a modern version of that playset that was made in like the mid 2000s. And that was the one that I had the information from for the size of it. But the original one was actually smaller than the Eternia playset, which had this big tram system that stuck up, I guess, way above it and all this.
Crystal Castle is She-Ra's.
There we go.
If I tried to pull anything up, I'm afraid my computer would crash the way it's behaving tonight. So yeah, before we got started, I had to restart my computer. You were having camera issues, and I was having issues with, like, last night with the screen freezing. And I'm like, what is going on here? But we've had so many thunderstorms roll through here the last couple of days that I'm half wondering if that has something to do with it. I don't really know. But
so I currently live way out in the boondocks, fields all around me. I used to live kind of just barely on the outskirts of town, but back then we had, DSL through the phone lines, and it would always go out after thunderstorms. But somehow here out in the middle of nowhere, they've ran fiber optic cable through here. And so we've got the best internet we've ever had.
That's crazy. I said, now what's bigger?
So I don't know. Is Classics Castle Grayskull a new Castle Grayskull, or are we talking about the actual old one?
The new Eternia or the classic Castle Grayskull?
New Eternia. I'm not. Oh, I feel like the guy on the bridge in Monty Python here. I don't know. Yeah. So I remember that the original Castle Grayskull, when we did this trivia question, it could have been taller if you included what was it called? Eagle Point or something like that. There's like an additional piece that can go on one of the towers, and then there was this little fighter ship that stood on it called the Talon fighter. And if you included that, it was taller than all the other sets. Okay, Classics was mid. So I think the mid 2000 line, I think it was the one that produced the Snake Mountain. Maybe if I'm getting it remembered correctly, that was bigger than the old Eternia?
Point Dread.
Point Dread. Thank you, man. Good to know
Yeah,
people to know stuff, especially when you don't.
it's so funny because I had almost everything for Modu when I was a kid, and I can't even remember half of these answers. So I'm just like, I had my favorite toy from the Masters of the Universe line, and maybe no class can correct me, but it was the red vehicle of He-Man's that had the tracks
Yes.
that would rotate
Attack
around.
Track, I
Yeah.
want to say it was called. What, am I right? Do I get my geek cred? I know you got yours, Eddie. I assume it's Eddie. Sorry if it's Matt, but just from the flashiness of the answers, I'm assuming it's Eddie.
See, I said my mood meter is going up. My nerd cred is just going.
I want to say that was called the Attack Track, and it had like the.
Yes, it was the attack track, I think.
Okay. Now, I can't remember if it's the same vehicle, but was it also the one that had the like part that like flung around and planted again, and then it kind of did this thing where that might have been a different one of their vehicles where it kind of oscillated with the back going front. It's never Matt. You're lucky to get him on the podcast, aren't you, Eddie? I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling.
Oh man. We're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, as we should be.
Yeah, I mean it's us. We were kind of like this in our first conversation. Another game that I don't know if you have seen anything about, but is Tony Rowland is putting out the Realm of Guy and Enoch. I had him on.
I'm not familiar with this. What's it about?
It is a horror game set in like a post-apocalyptic world. Oh man, now you really put me on the spot here, and I should know this because I just had him on about a month ago. But it's magic. Everything around you is dying. He's like, I put the parental warning on the thumbnail for our talk because of just where sometimes my potty mouth can take over. And he didn't want to like have any kids watching while we're talking about sensitive stuff like death of characters, death of loved ones, and
do that. Understand that their stuff's for this audience, and they try to curate that. We need more of that in the world, I think. And Brian gets to save on the thing that oscillates back and forth. I guess it's called the Dragon Walker.
Yep, man. My nerd cred is just shot right now.
So it's fantasy, it's post-apocalyptic, and it's horror. Is that the three flavors there?
Yeah, and it looks so fun. I'll have to shoot you a link for he has a solo adventure that he put up on Drive-Thru RPG, and I downloaded that, checked that out, and it just looks scary as hell, for lack of a better term, for a game, because like just everything around you. Our background for our talk was one of his favorite spreads from the book of just everything on fire. And I'm just like, all right, this works. Because I'm so used to like the weird and wacky RPG end of things because it fits my personality. But I love horror so much. So much so that my 14-year-old daughter has also inherited my love of horror.
That's the best. Get a share.
It is, but we were sitting here this was 2 weeks ago when she was here, and she's like, "Dad, can we watch Evil Dead?" And I'm like, "Hell yes, we can watch Evil Dead." And my fiance comes home, we're sitting there on the couch, and she's like, "What are you watching with her?" Because it's like, she wanted to watch the new one that I just lost his name. Fede Alvarez did.
Oh, okay.
And
I would have guessed Rob Zombie, but it is.
And it's just bloody as all get out. And like there's a couple points in the movie where it legitimately rains blood. And my kid's just sitting there with this big old smile on her face, eating snacks. And I'm like, what have I created? Hopefully the next Stephen King. That would be kind of cool. And yeah, I wish I had some of her art right handy here. I've got it like just out of reach because at 14, there will be folks in this industry, if you can talk her into doing it in the future, that will be hiring her to do book art. Like she spits out drawings that I'll look at that I'm like, how do you draw so well? Like I can draw stick figures and sausage men, and that's about it. And and she'll look at a picture of one of her favorite cartoons at one point was My Hero Academia. And she could look at any one of the characters in a picture and almost perfectly replicate it from just looking at it. And I'm just like, how? Because neither her mother or I are that artistically gifted, and it's just her thing.
Nice. Yeah, one of the things that I found myself to be incredibly wrong about is like cartoony art. I've always, when I was younger, thought, oh, cartoonists, they don't really have that much art skill, but now as I've kind of come to appreciate art, and I've got friends that do art and stuff, I'm starting to realize that, like, in some respects, drawing a cartoony image is almost harder than the real thing, because you're dealing with physics that aren't real. You're dealing with an angle that doesn't really exist in the real world, but still communicates, oh, that's a mouth, and that's the way it's going to turn. And my buddy Christopher Tupa, he does a lot of, he does just a wide range of different fields of art, but he's really good at like zippy kind of pop art cartoon stuff. And I'm just always amazed at just how quickly he can figure out how things should look, and how fun and vibrant his stuff is.
I just draw deranged looking stick people that are so disproportionate. They'll have like 8-foot long legs and like a torso that's maybe this big. And Stefan, you're actually absolutely correct. She's never too young to get her art published. We actually started a website for her, like a little web store a few years ago. I was trying to kind of light the entrepreneurial, I always screw that word up. I'm not even going to try again. I kind of tried to light the independent business owner fire with her, and it didn't really take off. And then she was like, well, I don't want to do it anymore. And when she was up the last 3 weeks, she saw like the card store, the Etsy store, and everything that I've got going on. And I felt like I was dealing with I just screwed it up. What was Gary Coleman's name in Different Strokes?
You talking about Willis, and his
Willis,
name?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And he was even.
I just had it and I lost it as soon as I said Willis.
Oh my gosh. Mr. Drummond. The sister was like what? Aaron, or Aaron? I mean.
Oh my! All right, I'm gonna have to.
Willis and. My goodness. Well, he wasn't Webster. I can throw the name Webster out there. He wasn't Funky Brewster, and he wasn't
Arnold.
Arnold, yes.
That's right. But she's standing here looking at me, and she's like, and I'm like, what? And she goes, do you think you could teach me how to run an Etsy store? And I'm like, I could absolutely do that. I'm like, the next time I come down, if you're on vacation from school, we'll sit down. I'll show you how to like list products, do the keyword research and all that. And she's like, okay, I think I want to give it another try. And I was like, yes. And Jonathan, this is super cool, just said my next big project is going to be a monster book.
Ready.
And based on his kids' drawings, dude, that is so cool that you're doing that. Yeah, I've got to get her motivated. Like she's kind of got the thing like I do with this and trying to create role-playing games, the imposter syndrome thing. She's like, well, my art's not good enough. And I'm like, dude, your art is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't be
Let the
scared of it.
people
Put it
decide.
out there so
Put it
everybody
out
can
there,
tell
right?
you how amazing it is. And then you'll start to believe in it. And she's like, well, what if people hate it? I'm like, there's always going to be people that'll hate it just because there's negative people in the world. Oh, we've got an answer on the Gray Skull and Eternia, the new 2024
Okay.
Eternia playset, beating out classic Snake Mountain 2020.
All right.
Wow. That doesn't
The
surprise me.
new Eternia was even bigger anyhow. So any which way, Brian should have won. We really screwed him over doubly here.
Yeah, man. Well, now I don't have a trivia question to try to avenge him here for.
You could ask me anything. The way things are going tonight, you could ask me my name. I'm going to flub up. I don't really remember. But yeah, I would tell your daughter, like, I mean, obviously there's lots of different industries that use art, but especially small publishing in the RPG era or area. So many people are desperate just to have, little art done here or there, little spot art. Put something up on Facebook. I all the time see somebody post art on Facebook, and I message them, say, hey, are you commissioning? What would your rates be like? RPG Net is a site that has a whole thing where there's a forum that artists can show their work. I'm always fishing through there looking for stuff. So yeah, well, Stefan, every artist hates their own work. Yeah,
He nailed it. Like, I hate watching my interviews because I feel like I sound like either Lenny or Squiggy when I talk, and I listen to it myself. I'm like, oh God, make it stop.
I don't hear it, man. The glasses remind me a little bit of, I think Squiggy had some glasses like that, but I don't hear it in the voice.
Yeah, I'm way too overly critical of myself, but like he said, everybody doing like that creates is that way. It is almost a requirement of being creative is that you don't think your stuff's good enough.
Yeah,
And it's too bad because think of like how many people aren't creating
because of that.
just simply because of that feeling. And that's what I'm trying to get her over is like, no, dude, you just got to throw it out there because someone's going to see a shirt with your art on it or a book with your art in it and have that same thought that you did of be like, man, what can I pay you to have you do some artwork for me? And then she would be like me and be like, I don't know. And be like, $20, And like, I know the second she gets a taste of somebody outside of immediate family being like, oh my God, your artwork is amazing. She's going to be like, really? That's awesome. Thanks. And like with her store that she set up, I was her only customer. I bought one of the shirts and she came over and almost started crying when she saw me wearing the shirt. I'm like, dude, this is the coolest picture ever. And she's like, I can't believe you bought my shirt. But yeah. Oh man. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could probably jabber on. I don't think I'll ever beat the record I have with Brian of was it 5 hours, Brian, or 6 hours?
Oh, geez.
That we went from I think it was from 7 at night till 1 in the morning, so it would have been 6 hours. And I've got Lewis Porter Jr. coming on, and he's like, "We're gonna beat that record," 'cause where he's got his, oh man, what a butthead, I can't believe I forgot this. He's got his superhero world coming out for Mutants and Masterminds. Oh, boy. But I know once I get started talking about, like, Lou wants to go for the record, Eddie says.
Not on a work night.
Not on a work night.
So I used to be very proud of our, like, I think we have one 3-hour episode of this old dungeon, but yeah, 5-6 hours. No, we're not even, we're little peons compared to that.
The only person I've come close to beating it with was with Jeremy Schumann, as we talked from 7 at night until about midnight, 12:30, and I think I started to nod off just because I was so tired from working and everything, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta get going." But yeah, I'm like a jukebox. You drop a quarter in me, and I'm good to go for
Nice.
hours. Because, like, we'll have the peaks and valleys of everything. Like, if you were to bring up a certain subject, I could talk potentially for another hour about just that. Nothing in particular. I got this awesome poster in today that there were only 80 made of
You
the
got it there with
Warriors
you?
movie. Well, I was gonna reach for it, but it's still in the box.
Oh, okay.
I would have to crack it open and
Getting
take
ready
it
for the
out of the
big reveal.
tube. Um, I might actually, let me see. Let me try something here. And I bet you I can find a picture of it and pop it up on the screen. But it's a poster from the Warriors when they're all loading onto the subway to go to the gang meeting. And I love the poster. They only made, it was either 80 or 90 of the posters.
That's a genre, and I don't know. There might be something out there that covers that, but like an urban gang warfare kind of street
It's
punk.
something I might have going in the back of my head for a particular system out there. Well, let me see. I got to see if I can shrink back on this. Ba, ba, ba. All right, I'll pop this up on the screen in 2 seconds. Let me make sure I don't break anything. Share screen. But that's the poster there.
Nice.
And I saw that, and it just looked so cool. And I'm like, I've got to get it. And I saw when I was pulling this up, they only made 75 of them. And I'm so happy to have been able to get one.
That's
I was sitting
one
there,
of my new favorite things that I'm wanting to try to pursue. And Eddie, who was on here, his game that he's coming out has that same thing where you've got art that's very dialed in as far as color goes. You know, like there's like maybe 4 colors on that poster. Most of it was the red and the black.
Orange, red, brown, and I think white was.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is about it, but right now that it really hits with my optic nerves. Like I look at it and it's like, wow, that's just
Yeah.
And,
when I saw that poster, that's what it was. Those colors. I was just like, damn, that's gorgeous. And I saw it was going on. Oh, Brian says Alt NYC 88 RPG does the Warriors thing.
Brian, who is that? Who produces that? Do you know?
I'm going to have to check that out. I'm going to write that down because I will forget it as soon. Alt NYC 88.
Yep. First thing pops up off Etsy as soon as you type that in. Nice. Fantasy fiction. Interesting. Definitely gotta check that out. It's kind of cool. I don't know if it's new or old, but it's got like the 4-color press look to it. It looks like it's from the 70s. But I'm sure that's just kind of a retro dealio.
I'm gonna have to pull that up now. You've got my interest peaked here. Ooh, yeah. I was just gonna say it looks like a risograph print on the cover. And holy cow, yeah, I've got to get this. And who? Let's see if we can find the name in any of the. Wow.
Yeah.
And you open it up, and it looks like the old subway. Man, like the subway maps.
Subway manuals or the line guides or whatever.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. I'm hitting the
For 1332, you can't lose.
no.
Why 32? That's interesting. 1332. Why would that be? It's got to be a reference to something, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm going to be sitting here like, what is the significance of 1332? Oh, but yeah. Shucks, you have to work in the morning. Fantastic Fiction is the author or the publisher of it, is what Brian said. I'll pop that up too. Bam. But 1332, that is just, usually it's like 1395, 1299 or something like that.
It's too weird of a number not to be some sort of remark, some sort of insight. Oh wait, here we go.
Oh, okay.
USD. Oh, okay, never mind. You took all the fun out of it, Brian. Come on, come up with something more clever.
We had another hour just sitting here talking about
the number of the missing subway
1332.
train that is, rumored to exist in New York City. Something like that. Come on.
Yep, tunnel dwellers. That's well, all right, my friend. I know you've got to work in the morning, and I don't want to keep you up all night.
Oh man, I would love to. I do probably need to be shutting down here, but I super appreciate being on, man. This is always a blast.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I would love to have you back on again anytime. And yeah, anytime you feel like chatting, drop me a line and we'll make it happen. I'll squeeze you in there.
And shouting out real quick, because I think I saw that you got in on that conversation, but Eric Bloat was talking about comment. Oh, I like that one. That's much better, Brian. Now you're on the track here. It's a combination of secret locker. I like it.
But what locker is it?
But
it's going to be 2331 is the locker.
Eric Bloat was saying of Bloat Games, was saying how like, the things have been kind of trying as far as making his company work right now. And I know I've been kind of scrambling to try to look at budgeting and numbers. And I think you had said that you'd be interested on a conversation on that. So
yeah,
I know
actually got an invite to a group today, and I wasn't sure if it was from you or Eric.
It was from Eric.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I jumped in that group. So I'll definitely be.
So if those of you that are listening that are part of the small publishing or interested in small publishing, want to kind of get in on a talk about like, what do we think works or doesn't work, and try to see if we can all, hone our game a little better, as far as marketing and development and all this. Whatever, send me a Facebook message or something, and we'll try to all get in on a big Zoom, some mega conference to talk about what we think is going on in the industry and how we can all survive and do well.
Yeah, my big thing is, see, you just dropped another quarter in the jukebox, Lou. My big thing is, like, all of the depth of knowledge, like even in the chat for this, our talk, of the pitfalls and whatnot that I could learn to avoid, like what Brian did with me for the dice system for my Halloween game. He's just like, like I said, like, try just D6. And now with the other things that I've come up with for the game, from that being D6 base, is what I'm looking at, because there's so many pitfalls out there that you can fall into. And just what I could learn from being a part of such a group is just like jacking into the matrix, just plug it right into the back of my neck, and it'll be like, whoa, I know Kung Fu.
Want to do a shout out real quick, because that got me thinking. So the Long Con guys, they also do a podcast called the No Class Podcast, and they just did a series on like the pitfalls, the ins and outs of doing a Kickstarter, and it was really good. And I'm not saying that because they used some information I sent them, but But the way they covered it and the way they had dialogue back and forth about, well, I think this is the better thing, and I think that's the better thing. It's a really good follow if you're getting into kickstarting. Anybody out there, No Class RPG podcast. Look for I think it's a 3 series. I'm pretty sure where they cover that just here recently. The last like 3 of them.
Yeah, I got to make sure if I'm not already that I subscribe to their channel.
I would say it's maybe the best advice on kickstarting that I've listened to, and I've listened to tons and tons of podcasts on it. But I think it's the fact that they kind of banter back and forth and give opposite opinions that other people have. It really brings it to life, like what all your choices are and what the benefits to this versus that are and all this. So
awesome.
Good stuff.
I will definitely check it out because that's really the only way at times for us smaller folk in the industry is to kickstart it, because we don't have WotC money, so. And Eddie says, yeah, the first episode is only like 10 minutes and then 2 episodes. Thanks, Lou. High praise.
Well earned, man. It's good stuff.
Oh boy, I want to let you go, but I don't at the same time because I'm having so much fun talking to you. I just don't want to keep you up all night, and we're pushing 9:30 here. So, you sure you don't want to go for the record?
Not tonight. So someday maybe.
Next time we're going for it. We'll see if Lewis and I set the new bar, and then I'll get you back on, and we'll just keep going that new record, and I'll scare people away from my channel when I put like the longest episodes at the top of my YouTube feed. It's just like 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Well, all right, my friend. And I should let you go. And I want to say thank you to everybody that was involved and so active with the chat and everything. It was so much fun.
Yes,
Stefan, I will be reaching out to you for sure about getting you on. Eddie, I'll reach out to you and maybe we can get something going. And Lou, dude, good luck with the last 2 days of this Kickstarter. I'm going to do my best to share the living bajumpus out of it. And see if we can hit, because I think it was 6,000 was the first stretch goal.
Well, so I redid that. I got to looking at it, and I wasn't really thinking about the product when I put out those stretch goals. I was kind of thinking of it in monetary terms and how breakdowns would work and this and that. And then I got to realizing, well, not everybody's going to want all 3, And as I was looking at people signing up, there are a lot of people that only wanted the Weird Frontiers one. There are people that only wanted the MCC one. There are people who wanted all 3. So I got to thinking, what I really want here is not the money. What I really want is a better following, to get more people interested in these products. So I think the series 1, we got 114 people, I think, on that one that were part of, the backers on that. So I thought, man, if I could just grow it, if I could get 120. So I put up a new goal. If we get 120 backers, all the Kickstarter backers, the people that sign up here before the end of the campaign, I'm publishing a double-sided color sheet insert that'll have all the lost material on it. So like a lot of these, to be able to fit things into 6 panels, you got to edit the hell out of it. I mean, there's so much on the cutting room floor. A lot of charts that are D24 used to be 30. A lot of the random encounters that are 6 deep used to be 20 deep.
Wow.
So there's stuff I can put on sheets and add to each of these to help game masters who want to stretch it to, a longer, 5-6 hour session or whatever, do that. So that's the goal. At 120 backers, everybody gets a double-faced color sheet done up in kind of the style of these trifolds. So it's, colorful and neat looking with all that lost material on it.
And at 200 backers, we're getting Opium Panda.
He said it.
That's not true. So if anybody watches this in the next 24 hours is like, oh, I want to be that 200th backer. No, it was a joke. Garrett, thank you so much.
Yes.
He said great episode. And then Jonathan said great conversation. You have a good night as well, Jonathan.
Let's kill some vampires Sunday, Jonathan. We're taking down Strahd Sunday.
Well, Lou, again, thank you so much for coming on. I just realized, because I glanced over at the screen, I'm really animated talking with my hands tonight. But But yeah, we'll have to have you back on here sometime soon and catch up again. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Have
Yes,
a
it's
great
made my
evening.
night to hear from you all and
Awesome.
to talk with David. Oh my goodness. Thank you all.
All right, guys. Have a great night, and I will catch you all on the flip side.